So back when I was learning to improvise, I remember one thing that really sped up my learning speed and helped with the learning curve with all this stuff was developing my ear. And it's not something I intentionally went out of my way to do. It's not like I did ear training exercises in the traditional sense where you might do intervals and things like that. It was more just the way I was learning because there wasn't as many like tabs available, or I didn't have Guitar Pro or anything like that when I was learning. It was a lot of watching YouTube videos and trying to replicate what they were doing and trying to learn just from watching them and using my ear and copying it onto my instrument. And the reason why it sped things up is because instead of having to look up, for example, licks in pattern 2 of the pentatonic scale, or transcribing solos, or getting the tab for solos and learning it, you get to a point where you can learn just from listening. You don't even need your instrument in your hand because you start to recognize the notes and you start to even understand what shapes they're most likely using in pentatonic scales or major scales, whatever it may be. Unfortunately, I was into a lot of blues and rock, which tends to be pentatonic based and is a really good way to get into this kind of thing. And there's one video in particular that stuck out to me and I remember learning a lot from, and it was this really cool jam session between Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and they were playing Born Under a Bad Sign. I remember just sitting there watching the video with my guitar and having what Paul Gilbert would call a guitar conversation with the video, essentially, where I figured out the key they were in, I had an idea of the pentatonic scale they were using, and they would play something and then I would try play it back. And even if I didn't play it perfectly, I kind of would get the gist of it and then come up with my own thing, all whilst training my ear at the same time. And I know all this stuff can seem overwhelming if you're trying to get into it, so what I'm going to do today is we're going to look at that video of Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King, and I'm going to go through it and kind of give you some pointers as to what you should be thinking about and how you can go about learning from it in the same way I did. So let's get into it.
2 for nothing. 1, 2. Born on a bad sign. Been down since I began to crawl. If it wasn't for bad luck, I would now no luck at all.
Cool. So right off the bat, you can see Albert King. He's doing all these cool little fills in between his vocal lines, like a call and response type deal. So there's a lot we can learn from that, and a lot of licks or ideas for licks we can get from that. But we'll get into that later. Stevie Ray Vaughan, you can see, is holding down the rhythm, but let's keep watching.
Hard luck and trouble is my only friend. Been on my own ever since I was 10. Born on a bad sign. I've been down since I began to crawl. If it wasn't for bad luck, I would now no luck at all. Wait a minute.
Right, pretty cool stuff. One thing you might have noticed if you have a keen eye is Albert King is playing his guitar upside down. So when we get more into the transposing some of these licks or getting ideas, trying to figure out what shapes they're using, just keep that in mind that he is playing upside down.
I can't read, I didn't learn how to write. My whole life has been one big fight. Born on a bad sign. Been down since I began.
So cool how he does those little just 2-note phrases, but how great that sounds. And this circles back to a point I talk about a lot, is that when you're learning to improvise, typically beginners tend to do this. They feel like they have to play every note of the scale, that is how your phrases are going to sound the most musical. But you'll notice with Albert King, between these phrases he's playing, he'll just play 2 notes. Like if we rewind this, right, just 2 notes. That's all you need sometimes.
Been down since I began to crawl. If it wasn't for bad luck, I would now no luck at all.
Alright, he's giving Stevie Ray the go-ahead to bust out a solo here, so let's have a listen. Right, so you'll notice, again, he's not playing a whole bunch of notes. He's not shredding all over the fretboard. A lot of bending and a lot of just the same notes over and over, basically. But he's just phrasing really well. And his articulation is next level. So the way he's playing the notes, you know, the way he's digging in, the way he's bending them, adding vibrato, these are the things that will make you sound musical, not playing every note under the sun that belongs in the scale. We'll get to the analysis soon, just we'll listen to a good chunk of the solo first. They finally have close-ups of the fretboard, which is nice. Cool, okay, so let's pause it there, and I'm going to rewind a bit to the start of the solo, and we're going to get into how you go about analyzing the stuff, or how you should analyze it. So first of all, I will grab my guitar, and the first thing you want to do is figure out what key this is in. So if I go to a bit of a close-up here, we're going to listen to it, just from anywhere really. And I'm going to play some notes on the low E string and try see what's home bass. Right, this C sharp here sounds pretty good. If I keep going. Okay. So that C sharp, that to me sounds like the home key, or the root note. So the next thing I'm going to do is just rewind the video a bit again and play the pentatonic scale built from that C sharp over it to see if that fits. Right, so I could hear that sounded pretty good. That pentatonic scale seemed to fit. So now I have an idea that, okay, this is in the key of C sharp minor. And now I'm going to listen to some of these solos and try to figure out what's going on. Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, that very first lick. So, if you listen carefully, starts off with a bend. Okay, so let's figure out what note he might be bending to. So if we go through our scale, if I change to this, just playing up my C sharp minor pentatonic. Okay, I'm looking for the pitch that he's bending to, so I'll rewind it again. Okay, this is the highest note in my pattern 1 of the pentatonic scale, so I can tell he's probably not doing this, and even if I bend it, that's not quite matching that pitch, is it? So if we listen again. Right, not quite matching it. So then I go, okay, well if it's not in pattern 1 and it's higher, it's most likely going to be in pattern 2. So I go, okay, pattern 1's here. So pattern 2 starts on this note. And I work my way up there. Maybe I try this note, this higher note in the pentatonic scale. Have a listen. Okay, so it starts off with a bend. There we go, that sounds right. And then after that, he goes down. So I'll try this note first. That sounds right. Let's have a listen again. Okay, so he goes, then plays this note here, and then ends with the bend again, which sounded like the first bend. Okay, so I have that idea now. So straight away, I have a cool lick idea in pattern 2 of the pentatonic scale. Okay, let's keep listening. So that next phrase is using the same notes. You can tell, it's very similar. Listen to both. Next lick. Starts the same. So it starts off the same, but he adds a little bit on the end. Listen one more time. So it sounds to me like he's going like this. So he goes. Right, so he's doing a bend with his first finger on that first note on the E string in pattern 2. And then going between these two notes. So that phrase there, if we put those together, so we have... Then again. Right, so that's definitely something you can use. I really like the way he's going from this bend on the on the first note of the E string of pattern 2. And doing that. That's a cool little idea you can take from Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now let's keep listening. Again, you can hear he's using the same notes there. So he's starting off with this bend here. Right? I'm not sure if that's perfect, but again, that's not the idea with the stuff. It's just to get the gist of it and understand what kind of scales they're using and then make it your own. So I have this idea. So now I can hear that he goes from this bend here and then straight into that bend and then again. So that's cool, you know, doing that bend on the high E and then straight. That's quite a cool phrase or a cool idea. Right there, you know, he does 4 bends, I think. Listen. 2. Yeah, that's cool. So already, just from hearing those first few bars of soloing, I have some great ideas when I'm using pattern 2 of the pentatonic scale. Right, so that was me just taking inspiration from those licks, not playing it perfectly, but just taking the idea of it and making it my own. Let's keep going with this. Okay, so right there, something interesting happens. I can kind of hear and tell that he's changing pentatonic shapes. And you can very faintly see his hand moving on the guitar fretboard, which is helpful. So again, I'm not worried about doing this note for note. I just want to get the idea of it. So if I'm doing some bends up here, and I want to go down, right, or something like that. And that's just going down from the B string in pattern 2. And then sliding down here to pattern 1. Right. And then going down pattern 1 a bit, and then ending up on that note there. Have another listen. So I actually hadn't picked up on that lick before, so now I've just learned something new from watching this video again. So next time I'm wanting to go from pattern 2 to pattern 1, that's a lick I'm going to use. Okay, that's really cool. So he's gone from this pattern 2 lick. Then I can hear he's doing a bend. Now, because I'm familiar with guitar players' tendencies and very familiar with Stevie Ray Vaughan, I know he's probably bending this note here. Okay, because in pattern 2, you'll notice most guitarists tend to bend the second note on each of the high strings. Okay, one of those 3. So he's going from here. And then he's doing this thing. And then, again, bending. I can guess he's doing that one. Yeah. So, that's really cool. And that's one of those cool licks you can repeat over and over. Let's see what he does after. Right, he's doing something like this. He's really digging in. Pull off. And again, it's fine if you can't do this straight away, if you can't get it note for note. Just, you can hear he's going down the scale. You could just do that, if that's easier for you to figure out. But once you get more advanced, you can start to hear those kind of things. Now if we keep listening. Yeah, we can hear he's gone up to pattern 2, and you can probably see by his hand now because it's a bit of a better camera angle. So let's have another look. Right. That kind of thing again. Right, so you can see he's switching from pattern 2 to pattern 1 again. Something like this. So he's just going down the scale and then bending that note there. I can hear that. But again, if you can't hear that straight away, just know he's going down the pentatonic scale and then sliding into pattern 1. That's a very common place where guitar players will transition between shapes, is from pattern 2 and then on the G, moving back to pattern 1. So that's why he's doing that. And again, I hadn't actually noticed that before, so that's something I'm going to take away from making this video. Cool, 2-note phrases, love it. He's just bending this note and then playing this note. Oops. And adding some sting, some vibrato on that. Great. Right, so that was a way better camera angle, so you can really see what's going on with that. If we rewind it a bit. Right, that's really cool. Right, that little trill between the first note on the D string in pattern 1 and the second note. Starting off with more bends here. Right, great stuff. Learning a lot. Now Albert King. So right away you can probably tell how much Stevie Ray was influenced by Albert King. Okay, much of the same sort of licks. What I like about Albert King here is he's bending sharp, I think. That's a very sharp bend. Makes it sing a bit more. Yeah, it's pretty crazy trying to figure out what he's doing and watching it because it is all upside down, so it doesn't quite line up. Okay, there we go. There's like some signature Albert King there, those overdone sharp bends. I think that was just one note. Let's listen again, then I'll try it. So he's bending an E note. It looks to me like he might be playing the E on the B string and doing these like 2-step bends nearly. Yeah, crazy. So I would say what he's doing there, or the way he's thinking is, okay, pattern 1's here, pattern 2's here, and he's gone up to pattern 3, and then resolving to this root note here. I think that's what he does a lot of the time, because it's easier to bend the B string, and you can do those big sharp bends rather than trying to do it here. Right, pretty hard, but here. Alright, so cool. That's something I'm definitely going to be messing around with in my own improvising now. So that's something I'm noticing is Albert King tends to be up in this pattern 3 box a lot. And loves that interaction between this note, the second note on the B string, and the first note. Alright, so just from that solo section, I've learned a lot, okay? I've gotten a lot of ideas of what I can do, and now I'm going to put this into practice. So I'll put some kind of loop on, and I'm going to play these style licks over it. But let's say we were in a different key in a different context, would it still work? Well, let's find out. So let's say I'm playing a more rocky chord progression in the key like B. Now this is a pretty different kind of sound to Born Under a Bad Sign, but I can still use those licks. So I figure out where pattern 1 is in B. Then I can go to my pattern 2. Sweet, so you can see how I am very influenced by Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King from that video, and I've put it in a new context and it's giving me some good ideas. So this is something I suggest you do with some guitar solos that you like, or just some videos you've seen that you like the sound of. Just go through, see what you can pick up from it, and see if you can repurpose it. You don't have to play it note for note or get every note perfectly. You just want to get the general idea of it. So don't let the fact that you don't know every scale or are perfect at transposing things stop you from getting started with this stuff. But hopefully that was helpful and gives you some direction. Let me know if there are any videos that you want me to watch and go over and try to learn some things from. But otherwise, I'll see you next time.